And I told yesterday, rate of SN1 directly proportional to what? Stability of the carbocation, which is formed in the RDS step, but which is not formed after rearrangement. Is it clear? So now tell me, in primary, secondary and tertiary carbocations, which carbocation is more stable? Tertiary. Therefore, now see clearly, here I am writing one more important thing regarding SN1 mechanism. Okay. Now see clearly, rate of SN1, that means order of reactivity of alkyl halides. Okay. So remember everyone, tertiary alkyl halides undergo SN1 at a faster rate when compared to secondary alkyl halides, when compared to primary alkyl halides. Clear everyone? In SN1, tertiary alkyl halides undergo at a faster rate than secondary than primary. Why tertiary? Why? Because if you take tertiary alkyl halide, then you will get tertiary carbocation. So tertiary carbocation is more stable carbocation. I hope you are able to understand my point. Followed everyone? Then we are going to discuss about the leaving groups here. Okay, which leaving group will favor SN1. So for that again we will take the rate determining step, RDS step of SN1. So see clearly, in the RDS step, what happened? Carbocation is formed and leaving group minus is formed. So try to understand my point here. In the RDS step, leaving group is departing. Therefore, now I can come to a conclusion that rate of SN1 is directly proportional to leaving ability also. Rate of SN1 is directly proportional to leaving ability of leaving group. Leaving ability of leaving group. Followed everyone? So let me change the slide here. So I can come to a conclusion like this: good leaving groups. Good leaving groups favor SN1 mechanism. Good leaving groups favor SN1 mechanism. I hope you are all understanding this point clearly. Followed everyone? Right. Then what is the stereochemistry of SN1? Stereochemistry of SN1. Put the heading everyone. Okay, stereochemistry of SN1. Now here, for example, for this carbon, let me take one atom A is bonded, one atom B is bonded, one atom B is bonded, and leaving group is bonded. So you know well that in the RDS step, see clearly, in the RDS step, what happened here? Leaving group will leave. When the leaving group leaves, so see clearly, you will get the carbocation here, then leaving group minus. In the RDS step, you will be getting the carbocation. And you know, for this carbocation, 3 sigma bonds are there. So hybridization of carbon is sp2. And I think you know, sp2 means what? Planar. sp2 is planar. Clear everyone? Please copy quickly. So let me move to the next slide here, and this is the very important one. So please focus here, and here I will wait for some time also even, and if any doubt is there, please get back to me. So this is the carbocation we got in the RDS step. Now what happened? Nucleophile should attack in the fast step. Nucleophile should attack in the fast step. And now, just now I told you, hybridization of carbon is sp2 in carbocation. Is it clear? So, you know, p orbitals, total 3 are there, px, py, pz. So, out of the 3, you see only 2 are participating. You see sp2, only 2 are participating. So, the remaining one, which is not participating, that is called as what? Pure orbital. Which is not participating, that is called as the pure p orbital. So the pure p orbital will be like this. See clearly. Pure p orbital will be like this. P orbital will be dumbbell in shape. So which is not participating will be like this. It is a pure p orbital. Followed? So now try to understand. There is a chance of nucleophile can attack from front side now. Nucleophile can attack from back side also. See clearly. Two possibilities are there here. Nucleophile can attack from front side as well as from back side. And yesterday I told you, front side attack is called as what? Retention. And back side attack is called as what? Inversion. So in SN1 what happened? Both happens. Retention happens, inversion also happens. Did you notice in SN2 only inversion, but in SN1 both happens, retention as well as inversion. Is it clear everyone? Because nucleophile attack from both the sides, front side as well as back side, both the possibilities are there. Right. Now let me go to the next slide here. So when both the possibilities are there, then what are the products formed here? So here you see now A, B, D is bonded and nucleophile is attacking from the front side. This is one possibility. Now here you see now A, then after B, then after D, and here nucleophile attacking from the back side. Try to understand my point here. So front side attacking is called as what? Retention. Back side attacking is called as what? Inversion. So 50% retention product is formed, 50% inversion product is formed. I hope it is clear everyone. Okay, and one more important point I want to discuss here. So see clearly. Try to first listen here, then after you copy this one. For example, if you put the retention product on inversion as it is, if you put this retention product on inversion product, will they superimpose? That means, will the groups match exactly? No. groups will never match. If you put retention product on inversion, will the groups match? Tell me. No, they will not match. But you know, they are mirror images. If you see retention in the mirror, inversion is the product, inversion is the image formed. Am I right? If you see retention in the mirror, inversion is the image formed. Clear, everyone? So I can call them that non-superimposable mirror images. Non-superimposable mirror images. You know, non-superimposable mirror images are called as enantiomers. Non-superimposable mirror images are called as enantiomers. About enantiomers, we will discuss in detail in optical isomerism. But as on now, just to remember this point, non-superimposable mirror images are called enantiomers. So now, see clearly, everyone now. So this mixture is there now, see clearly. This mixture is called enantiomeric mixture. Enantiomeric mixture is also called as what, you know, I am writing here. Enantiomeric mixture is also called racemic mixture. Enantiomeric mixture is also called as the racemic mixture. Enantiomeric mixture is also called as the racemic mixture. And in this one, if any doubts are there, please get back to me. Racemic mixture. So let me change the slide here. Now, see clearly the process of forming racemic mixture is called racemization. The process of forming racemic mixture is called racemization. Racemization. Clear, everyone? And one more important point I want to discuss here, that SN1 leads to racemization. SN1 leads to racemization. So racemization means what? Retention should be there plus inversion, both should be there. Retention plus inversion. Did you notice in SN2 only inversion, but in SN1 both happens, retention as well as inversion, both happens here. Hope it is clear to everyone. Next, one more important thing is that now racemic mixture is optically inactive. What is this optical inactivity? Again, that also we are going to see in the optical isomerism part. As on now, just to remember these points. So this is the most important point here. SN1 leads to racemization. Retention plus inversion, both will happen. I hope you understood about the racemization. And Racemic mixture is optically inactive mixture. About optical inactivity, as I told you, we will be discussing in optical isomerism. Followed everyone? Now we are going to see the summary of factors. Factors favoring SN1. All the factors at one place I am going to discuss. All the factors at one place I am going to discuss. Okay, so what are the factors here? About the nucleophile, first we will discuss. Tell me which nucleophile favor SN1. Remember, weak nucleophile favor SN1. And I told yesterday, weak nucleophiles are what? Neutral nucleophiles. All neutral nucleophiles except ammonia. Please be careful. Except ammonia. Ammonia will favor SN2. Except ammonia, remaining all neutral nucleophiles are weak. They will favor SN1. Okay, now second one is the rate of SN1 depends on what? Rate of SN1 directly proportional to stability of carbocation formed in RDS step. Stability of carbocation formed in RDS step. That means the carbocation which is formed initially, not which is formed after rearrangement. Because I told you rearrangement is a fast step. Rate never depends on the fast step. Rate depends only on the slow step. Right? Next one is order of reactivity. Order of reactivity of alkyl halides. Tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. If you take tertiary alkyl halide, then only you will get tertiary carbocation. And you know tertiary carbocation is more stable. Therefore, order of reactivity of alkyl halides is tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. So any doubt, please get back to me. I hope you are all understanding. If you copy quickly, then I will change the slide. Clear? Right. Now, next one about the solvent. Which solvent will favor SN1? Polar protic solvents. Why? Why? Because polar protic solvents will do the ionization, then they can generate the carbocation. If you take polar aprotic never forms the carbocation because polar aprotic never do ionization. Polar protic solvents. Clear everyone? Next. So what is the stereochemistry of SN1? SN1 leads to racemization. SN1 leads to racemization. That means racemic mixture formation takes place. Racemic mixture formation takes place. So these are all the factors favoring SN1 mechanism. These are all the factors favoring SN1 mechanism. Clear everyone? Now I am going to show you the differences. See clearly differences between SN1 and SN2 mechanisms. SN1 and SN2 mechanisms. So here make a tabular form of 3 columns like this. Make a tabular form of 3 columns. In first column, we are going to see in which property they are differing. Second column, SN1. Third column, SN2. Clear everyone? Right. Now, first of all, we are going to see number of steps. Okay. So, please see clearly here. Number of steps in mechanism. Number of steps. So, SN1, 2-step mechanism. SN2, 1-step mechanism. SN1, 2-step mechanism, and SN2 is a 1-step mechanism. Clear? Now, next is about the nucleophile. Which nucleophile favor SN1 and SN2? So, remember everyone, weak nucleophile favor SN1 and strong nucleophile favor SN2. Weak nucleophile favor SN1, strong nucleophile favor SN2. Followed everyone? Now, coming to the point of the leaving group. Coming to the point of the leaving group. Remember everyone, in both the cases, in SN1 and SN2, leaving group is leaving in RDS step only. Therefore, in both the cases, good leaving group only required. In both the cases, good leaving group. Because in both the cases, leaving group departs in RDS step. In both the cases, leaving group departs in RDS step. Followed. Let me change the slide here. Now, let me continue the differences. Now, coming to the point of the solvent. Which solvent will favor SN1, which will favor SN2? Okay. Remember everyone, polar protic solvent favor SN1, whereas the polar aprotic solvent favor SN2. Polar protic solvent favor SN1, polar aprotic solvents favor SN2. Hope you are able to understand. Next one, order of reactivity. Order of reactivity. So in SN1, order of reactivity is tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. Clear? In SN2, primary greater than secondary greater than tertiary. Next, what about the intermediate? Intermediate. What is the intermediate in SN1 mechanism? Carbocation. Carbocation is the intermediate in SN1 mechanism. In SN2, no intermediate is formed. No intermediate is formed. Remember everyone, SN2 passes through the formation of transition state, but it is not called as an intermediate because transition state is unstable. Unstable species are not called as intermediates. So no intermediate is formed in SN2, but in SN1, carbocation is the intermediate formed. I hope you are able to understand. Now, last one more point is left over here. Next is the stereochemistry. Stereochemistry of SN1 as well as SN2. So just now I told you stereochemistry of SN1 is what? Racemization. That means retention as well as inversion. Both are possible here. But in case of SN2, only inversion. In case of SN2, only inversion. Hope you are able to understand. So these are the major differences between SN1 and SN2 mechanism, and I think you got an idea how to differentiate SN1 with SN2. Clear? Now let me go to the next slide here. So one important note I want to discuss here. One important note I want to discuss here. Here I will write three compounds. That three compounds neither undergo SN1 nor SN2. Nothing is possible in them. Three types of compounds I will write. They neither give SN2 nor SN1. Nothing is possible. Okay. What are the three compounds I am writing here? First one, vinyl substrates. Vinyl substrate means what? I am writing here, see clearly. CH2 double bonded, CH bonded to leaving group. You may ask me why it will not give SN1 and SN2. This carbon is sp2 hybridized carbon. So let me write clearly here. This carbon is sp2 hybridized carbon. So sp2 more electronegative. When it is more electronegative, it cannot allow leaving group to leave. When leaving group is not leaving, how the reaction will happen then? So vinyl substrate now. Second one, aryl substrate. Aryl substrate means what? Aryl substrate means leaving group should be bonded to the benzene ring. Again here also same reason. This carbon is sp2 carbon. So leaving group is bonded to sp2 carbon. Due to high electronegativity, it cannot leave. Next, third one, bridgehead substrates. Okay, bridgehead means what? Bicyclo compounds like this. See clearly, everyone know. So here you see now, everyone know. So this position is called as the bridgehead. If the leaving group is present at bridgehead, then it cannot leave, because bridgehead structures are very compact structures. That means very solid like substances, very compact. Therefore, leaving group cannot leave from such type of compact substances. Clear everyone? Remember everyone, these three types of compounds neither undergo SN1 nor SN2. Nothing is possible. SN1 not possible, SN2 also not possible in these three types of compounds. Vinyl substrate, aryl substrate, bridgehead substrate, they neither undergo SN1 nor SN2. Nothing is possible in them. Please copy quickly. Followed. So this is completely about the SN1 and SN2. Now SN1, SN2 completely finished out. So now we are entering into the next one, that is the elimination reactions. Please put the heading elimination reactions. Elimination reactions. See, the name itself indicating elimination. That means we have to remove the groups now. Clear? And remember everyone, in our syllabus, 4 types of eliminations are there. 4 types. So first one E1, second one E2, third one E1CB, fourth one EI. So what is E1? E1 is unimolecular elimination. Okay. Second one bimolecular elimination. And the third one unimolecular conjugate base elimination. Unimolecular conjugate base elimination. And fourth one EI, intramolecular elimination. Intramolecular elimination. Followed? So, but in this lesson, we are going to study only these two types of eliminations, E1 and E2. These two types of eliminations we are going to study. So now let me put the heading E1 elimination. E1 elimination. Okay. Now here one thing I want to tell you, see clearly, E1 is similar to SN1. E1 is similar to SN1. So E1 and SN1 both are almost similar, but a small difference is there that we will discuss. You can ask me in what way they are similar. Okay. Now see clearly, everyone, I am writing here. So just now I told you SN1 is a two-step mechanism. So E1 is also two-step mechanism. SN1 is two-step mechanism. E1 is also two-step only. Clear? Next. Did you remember in the RDS step? In the RDS step, carbocation is formed in SN1. Similarly, here also in RDS step, carbocation is formed. Carbocation is formed. Clear? Then here I told you weak nucleophile favors SN1, and here we have to use the word weak base. Bases will do elimination. So here weak base will do E1, and here weak nucleophile do SN1. Clear? Then coming to the point of solvent, I told you just now, polar protic solvents favor SN1. Similarly, here also polar protic only. Here also polar protic solvents only. So you see, almost things are similar between SN1 and E1. Things are similar between SN1 as well as E1. Okay, then what is the difference? That also we are going to see. So let us move to the next slide to explain the E1 mechanism clearly. Okay, now see clearly, everyone. Now here let me take one hydrogen, and here let me take the leaving group. Leaving group. So here now I am taking the B. B means what here? Base. And here remember everyone, elimination reactions, heating is required. When you heat, then only groups will be eliminated. But did you notice in substitution, heating is not required. In case of substitution, heating is not required. In case of elimination only, heating is required. Are you followed, everyone? Now here one important thing I want to discuss here. See clearly, leaving group bonded carbon is alpha carbon, and this beside carbon is beta carbon. Adjacent carbon is beta carbon. Adjacent carbon is beta carbon. Clear? Remember everyone, beta carbon should contain at least one hydrogen, you see. Then only elimination happens. Whether it is E1 or E2, whatever it may be, elimination happens, at least beta carbon should contain one hydrogen. Then only elimination is possible. If not, elimination is not at all possible. Followed? Now, in the first step, as I told you, it is two-step mechanism. So, in the first step, what happened? Like SN1, leaving group will depart out. So, when the leaving group departs, then see clearly, everyone know, when the leaving group departs, then carbocation is formed and leaving group minus. So, you see, similar to SN1, here also we are getting a carbocation. Similar to SN1, we are getting a carbocation here. In the RDS step, remember, first step itself is the RDS step. Again, same like SN1 mechanism, this one. I hope you are able to understand first step of the mechanism. Now, see, coming to the point of the second step now. Okay, so now try to understand my point here. In second step, what happened? In the first step, we got the carbocation. Now, in the second step, what happened? Base will come in the second step. And I think you know, second step is the fast step of the mechanism like SN1. So, what happens now? Base will remove the proton. Base will remove the proton. Proton means what? H plus. Base means what? OH minus, na? OH minus always removes H plus only by neutralization process. So when base removes the proton, that means H plus, then what happens? See clearly, the sigma bond will shift here. So when sigma bond shifts, then what happens? Carbon double bonded carbon. So here one bond, and here one bond, here one bond. Then you see clearly, alkene is formed. Alkene. Along with alkene, base forms a bond with proton. BH is formed. See clearly. So this is the two-step mechanism of E1. Two-step mechanism of E1. Completed copying the mechanism. Everyone. Now, here in the next slide, we are going to see what is the main difference between SN1 and E1. Okay. So, you know, main difference between SN1 and E1. Main difference between SN1 and E1 is the fast step. Slow step is same only. Carbocation is forming in both the cases. So SN1 and E1 both are differing in which step? Tell me. Fast step. They differ only in the fast step. How they are differing? Now see clearly. So I think you noticed in SN1 mechanism. In SN1 mechanism, see clearly, carbocation, then nucleophile attacks on the carbocation like this. This is the SN1 fast step. fast step of SN1. Now, what is the fast step of E1? So, see clearly, everyone know, fast step of E1. So, in this way, in the slow step, we will get carbocation. Now, in the fast step, base will participate. So, what base will do? Just now I told you, base will remove the proton from here. Base will remove the proton from here. So, when proton is removed out, then what happens? The sigma bond will shift here. When the sigma bond shifts, then see clearly, alkene is formed like this. So try to understand here, in case of SN1, okay, substitution happened. In case of E1, elimination happened and we got alkene. So that is a major difference between SN1 mechanism and E1 mechanism. So both have same RDS step, but both are differing in the fast step only. I hope you are able to understand these things clearly. So please copy quickly, everyone. Okay, then in the next slide, we are going to see what are the factors. What are the factors favoring E1 mechanism? What are the factors favoring E1 mechanism? Factors favoring E1 mechanism. Clear? So, what is the first factor? Tell me. First factor is that, now here let me explain in this way. So, rate of E1 directly proportional to stability of carbocation formed in RDS step. Stability of carbocation formed in RDS step. Why? Because in RDS step, carbocation is forming. So rate of E1 directly proportional to stability of carbocation. And whose carbocation is more stable? You know, tertiary. Therefore, next one is the order of reactivity then. Next one is the order of reactivity. So order of reactivity is tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. Tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. Tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. Clear, everyone? Next, what about the solvents then? Which solvent will favor? Polar protic solvent. Because polar protic solvent only can generate the carbocation. So polar protic solvents favor E1 mechanism. I hope it is clear to everyone. Then next one, weak base favor SN1 E1 mechanism. Weak base favor E1 mechanism. Because base is coming in the fast step. So fast step is not the RDS step. Is it clear, everyone? Next point in E1 mechanism, next one. Did you notice finally we got alkene? So remember everyone, more stable alkene, more stable alkene is major product. More stable alkene is major product. How to know which is more stable, which is less stable? Again depends on alpha hydrogen. So if number of alpha hydrogens, remember everyone, number of alpha hydrogens directly proportional to stability of alkene here also again. So if number of alpha hydrogens are more, then stability of alkene is also high. See clearly everyone now. More stable alkene is the major product. And how to know which is more stable, which is less stable means that depends on the number of alpha hydrogens according to hyperconjugation. So I hope you are able to understand. And these are the factors favoring E1 mechanism. Right? Now, still some important things are there in the E1 mechanism that I will discuss in the next class. So from the starting, I will be showing you the slides. So please see the slides clearly. And if you want to take the screenshot, you can take it. Okay, second slide. I explained about the stereochemistry of SN1 here. Third slide, where retention, inversion, both are possible in SN1 that I explained here. Fourth slide, here I explain you about the racemic mixture and enantiomers. About racemic mixture and enantiomers. Then after racemization, then after factors favoring SN1, here, then still two more factors which favor SN1. Then after differences between SN1 and SN2 mechanism. And here also again some differences. Then here still one more difference about the stereochemistry of SN1, SN2. Then after some compounds do not give SN1 and SN2 also. So here I listed them, you see only three are there: vinyl, aryl and bridgehead. Then I started elimination reactions. And here E1, and here I explain the similarities between E1 and SN1. Next here I explained E1 mechanism. Next here I explained the difference between E1 and SN1. Then factors favoring E1 mechanism. Still two more factors. And here E1 is not completed. In the next class, we are going to finish out the E1 mechanism, but make sure that you please read all these things and come. Karthik?
Sir? Sir?
Time is completed, na?
It's at 10:44, sir.
So
Night
shall I leave?
10:44, sir.
Shall I leave the meeting?
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Right.